What's up, everybody? Hope you guys are having a good day. There is a lot that we need to talk about, so let's do this, shall we? So if you watched my last video, I talked about Elijah McCain and I talked about a few other things. Well, over this weekend, a lot of shit happened and a lot of craziness happened as well. And in Aurora, Colorado, 3 officers were fired and one has stepped down after a photo surfaced of 3 of the officers mocking the police killing of Elijah. Now, these officers staged a photo of Elijah McCain and, when he was being choked by police. Now, the officers identified in that photo are Erica Marino, Jaron Jones, and Kyle Dietrich. Now, this was taken at the memorial site for Elijah last year. And a 4th officer that was involved in this, he actually was one of the officers that arrested Elijah. His name was Jason Rosenblatt, and he was fired after commenting ha ha when he got the photo. He should be arrested along with the other 2 officers. Now, intern police chief Vanessa Williamson, she said that she announced the termination on Friday and saying that they don't deserve to wear a badge anymore. And she is right. They really do not. And, after all this happened, this is truly something, to deal with. Like I said in my last video, if you don't know the story, Elijah McCain, he was coming home. He was walking from the grocery store to his home when the police got a call from a unsuspicious person saying that he was moving his arms around and, he was doing other things as well. When the police stopped him and everything, they said that he was acting suspicious and Elijah just saying he wanted to go home. The officers, they did not want to let him go home and everything else on the way. And one of the officers thought that he was going for the gun and they placed him in a chokehold. This happened for about 15 minutes now. I said in my last video that the police gave him the ketamine. It was actually the paramedics that gave him the ketamine when they arrived at the scene. And Elijah passed away 3 days later. Now, throughout this whole thing, before Elijah passed out, audio from the officers' body cameras revealed that Elijah was struggling to breathe and he was crying. Now, Elijah is a 23-year-old black man. He was a genuine and lovely young man who taught himself to play guitar and violin, and that's amazing. And he played the violin for Stray Cats because he said that it soothed him and everything else on the way. And so many protests happened in Aurora, Colorado. So many peaceful protests. There have been people out there playing the violin when in the riot officers came out there and they just broke it up. These people are out here being peaceful, listening to the music, listen to Elijah's legacy through music and everything's on the way. And people decide to come out there and they want to end that. But what are you guys' thoughts about this? If you live in Aurora, Colorado, did you go to that? Did you go to the protest and everything? What are your thoughts about this and everything else along the way? Okay. Now, I want to show you guys something that's very useful with what's going on. This right here, it's a mask. It's a mask that you wear over your mouth like this and everything, and it helps you when you go outside, and it helps prevent you from getting the coronavirus. Now, this weekend, it's 4th of July weekend, and everybody's out there having fun and whatnot, right? However, most people aren't trying to wear their mask because they just think, oh, a mask isn't going to do anything. I mean, this is the 4th of July weekend. Let's have some fun. I do worry about that, And as coronavirus cases spike and everything, public health officials are pleading with Americans to avoid large crowds and everything that's on the way and hold more muted Independence Day celebrations. But when it comes to Trump, that's just a different story because Trump, he likes to go big or just go home. But he promised a special evening in Washington that, that brought tons and tens of thousands of people to the National Mall. Along with that, he did, he did a little speech out towards, Mount Rushmore in South Dakota for a fireworks display Friday night, and he gave a speech. Now, for the Mount Rushmore event, GOP Governor Kristi Noem, Trump ally, insisted social distance wasn't necessary and masks were optional. So, you telling me that all those people at that event They don't have to worry about social distancing, wearing a mask and everything else on the way. They can go out there, they can go have fun, and then the next day they get coronavirus. I'm trying to figure that out because of the whole cases spiking and everything along the way. Now, Trump spent little time in his Mount Rushmore address reflecting on the pandemic, which, has killed more than 129,000 Americans. Again, they said that it wasn't necessary for social distancing and that wearing a mask is optional. Now, in his remarks and everything else on the way, Trump accused prosecutors who have pushed for racial justice of engaging in a merciless campaign to wipe out our history. It's just a lot right now to even talk about him, like seriously. And then Jerome Adams, Trump's surgical general, who has stepped up to the call for Americans to wear a mask in public, he stepped aside when he was asked in an interview from NBC's Today Show about, wearing a mask and everything. And he said it's not a yes or a no, but, every person has to make up their own mind. He legit said that, people, like, seriously.
We're joined now by Dr. Jerome Adams, the Surgeon General of these United States. General Adams, good morning to you, sir. Thanks for your time.
Good morning.
As we just mentioned there in Kerry's story, the President of the United States hosting two large gatherings, one at Mount Rushmore, the other in Washington, D.C., where a few 100,000 folks are expected. Masks not going to be required at either event. We know, based on CDC guidance, that large gatherings presents the biggest problem right now. If a loved one came to you, Dr. Adams, and said, should I go to one of those events, what would you advise?
Well, thank you so much for that question, Craig. And as we go into this 4th of July weekend, it's important that everyone remembers my Surgeon General's prescription for staying safe from coronavirus. 3 quick points. Number 1, know your risk. We know that people who are older and people who have chronic medical conditions such as diabetes, obesity, and high blood pressure are at higher risk for coronavirus. If you're at higher risk, you should consider staying at home. Number 2, understand your circumstances. Are you in a community where spread is going up or going down? Are you going to a place where you can social distance or not? Are you going to a place that's outside or inside? Because we know outside is lower risk than inside for spread of coronavirus.
But Dr. Adams, with all due respect, not to interrupt you, but we know that large gatherings presents the biggest risk right now. Would you advise someone to go to a large gathering? Yes or no?
Well, Craig, it's not a yes or no. Every single person has to make up their own mind. There are going to be people going to beaches, going to barbecues, going to different environments, and they have to look at their individual risk. As you mentioned, CDC says larger gatherings are a higher risk. You have to take that into account again with whether or not you're at risk, whether you live with someone who is vulnerable, and then you have to take measures to stay safe. And the most important thing I would say to people is if you do go out to a gathering or in public, please wear a face covering. As we talk about 4th of July and independence, it's important to understand that if we all wear these, we will actually have more independence and more freedom because more places we will be able to stay open. We'll have less spread of the disease.
Dr. Adams, one of the chief criticisms of the administration so far has been this mixed messaging as it relates to large gatherings and as it relates to that mask that you just held up. Because this morning and earlier this week, you were practically pleading with people to wear these masks in public. But this is what you said back in early March. A reminder.
One of the things they shouldn't be doing, the general public, is going out and buying masks. It actually does not help. It's not been proven to be effective in preventing spread of coronavirus amongst the general public.
All right, that's 3 months ago. What prompted the change of heart?
Well, as I've said many times, Craig, and I'm glad you asked me the question, but it really does hurt when we share outdated information. It's important for people to understand that we now know 40 to 50% of cases of coronavirus are spread asymptomatically, and that's different than any other coronavirus we've experienced before, which means you could have no symptoms, no cough, no fever, and still be someone who's spreading the disease. We know that many of the new cases are being spread in much younger people, and it's why we now encourage everyone to wear a face covering or a mask so that you can prevent asymptomatic spread. If you want college football in the fall, young people, please wear a face covering. If you want prom next year, please wear a face covering. It can prevent asymptomatic spread and help us overcome this virus.
Or if you just want grandma or grandpa to stay alive as well. But here's the thing. That requiring and encouraging are entirely different. Why not require folks who are going to be on the National Mall to wear those face masks? Why not require people who are going to be at Mount Rushmore to wear those masks if we know that wearing them literally saves lives?
Boy. Seriously, that's just too. I mean, these people are shoulder to shoulder, not wearing masks. Most of the people not wearing masks, but at the same time, they're like, oh yeah, I'm having fun, blah blah blah. But then the next day, you get COVID, you get some sort of illness or something, and I'm just going, you should have worn your mask, And along with that, Neil Young, a well-known musician, had to remind Trump again that he definitely was not down for him playing his songs at that event because, 3 of Neil Young's tracks, Like a Hurricane, Rockin' in the Free World, and Cowgirl in the Stand, were playing during Trump's independence celebration, everything else along the way, at Mount Rushmore. Does he not know what Rockin' in the Free World means? But again, it's just whenever I talk about him, it's just go, are you serious? Like, it's just a lot going on with this. I mean, people, I keep telling y'all, COVID-19 is still happening. I just said 129,000 Americans have been killed from this virus. That's why you need to wear your mask. And I know some of y'all are like, I can't wear a mask and everything's on. I understand everything is on the way. It's just a lot right now. Make sure you're washing your hands. Make sure you're doing social distance and everything else on the way. But what are your guys' thoughts about this? What do you guys think about that whole chaotic thing that just happened? If you celebrated 4th of July weekend, please tell me that you did your social distance or, you had fun inside your own house, okay? Now, this last story, this is just, Now, still dealing with Trump, by the way. Now, I'm not a big NASCAR fan, but, I do hear about NASCAR. I just can't watch it. It's just a lot. But this is pertaining to Bubba Wallace. If you know, he is the only black full-time driver for NASCAR's top circuit. And Bubba Wallace called out Trump on Monday after Trump falsely claimed that he had an earlier incident involving a noose that was found in his NASCAR driver's stall and called it a hoax and demanded that he apologize. Now, if you guys don't know the story, Bubba Wallace was assigned to a garage, and in that garage NASCAR saw a noose in there, and it was somewhat of a hate crime, and that's how he felt. The FBI was investigating on there, and it was like, oh, that actually was there and everything was on the way. But it's just a lot. But Bubba Wallace, he tweeted out saying that love should come naturally as people have taught to hate, even when it's hate from the POTUS. And he tweeted that on Monday and everything, or today as well. And after Wallace successfully led efforts to remove the Confederate flag from all NASCAR events, the rope, like I said, was discovered in his garage in the Talladega Super Speedway in Alabama in June. Now, like I said, the FBI, they did determine that it was there since October, months before Bubba Wallace was, acknowledged and occupied and everything else, and that the target, that Bubba Wallace didn't know that was not the target of hate crime. Now, kind of think it is just a little bit. If he was assigned this, I'm just saying it's just a lot. But Wallace told CNN's Don Lemon that following an investigation that he was not the person that made the report of the news. And in fact he hadn't even seen him himself. But he was alerted by its discovery from NASCAR President Steve Phillips, and during a White House press briefing on Monday today. Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany, she falsely claimed Wallace hadn't acknowledged that the incident was not determined to be a hate crime. And then along with that, when the question was asked, she basically didn't answer the question as to why Wallace should apologize to a hate crime investigation he did not initiate. So she basically said in in the video what I'm going to show you guys. She compared Bubba Wallace to Jesse Smollett, the actor who falsely lied about being mugged and everything else in a way. But she legit said that, y'all. Like, check this out.
Kaylee, why is it Bubba Wallace's responsibility to apologize for an investigation into a noose that he didn't report and he never even saw? It was NASCAR that found this, that reported this, and even the FBI referred to it as a noose, even if they said it wasn't a specific crime against Mr. Wallace. Why is the president even suggesting that Mr. Wallace should apologize?
Well, look, the FBI, as I noted, concluded that this was not a hate crime, and he believes it'd go a long way if Bubba came out and acknowledged that as well. This was not a hate crime as noted by the
He's been very
FBI.
clear that the FBI found this was not intentional. Why is he directing this at Mr. Wallace?
So one of the things this is where the president comes from, and this is where the president stands. And he actually hinted at this in his July 4th speech. To those in the media who falsely and consistently label their opponents as racist, who condemn patriotic citizens, who offer a clear and truthful defense of American unity, we want a clear and faithful defense of American history and unity. And when you level false charges, you not only slander me, you slander the American people. He believes the American people are good. And the allegations and the rush to judgment with Jesse Smollett in the Bubba Wallace case and with the Covington Catholic boys, we shouldn't be so quick to jump onto those narratives. Those are just three examples of those that have been proven false.
An investigation that someone else initiated, suggesting he was possibly the victim of a hate crime?
Yes.
The governor of South Dakota.
So yeah, that really happened. She legit said that. I don't think she's gonna have that job any longer. But yeah, I mean, that's just a lot. Bubba Wallace should not apologize for anything. He saw the noose and everything else on the way. For us as African Americans, that is a lot to see. With everything happening, people getting hung and everything else on the way. Hell, even over this 4th of July weekend, there was a video of someone a group of people trying to hang a black person, and thankfully someone stopped that before that even happened. But what are you guys' thoughts about this? What are you guys' thoughts about, Trump having his whole spiel at the Mount Rushmore, anything else that I talked about in today's video? What are your thoughts about that? Also, now Kanye, he's like, oh, hey, I want to run for president. Bro, you a little late to that, don't you think? You can be running, but still, you a little late to that, don't you think? But it's just a lot to deal with. People, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Let people know I am out there for you guys, because I am always out there getting the word in for you guys and everything else on the way. But with that being said, you guys, please be safe out there. Make sure you are wearing your mask if you're going somewhere, washing your hands, social distance, and everything else on the way. But other than that, I love all you guys. Peace out. Black Lives Matter.